Notorious in America for asking for people's money. Even TV preachers have a 1-800 number so viewers can pledge from home. www.sendmoneytojesus.com. That's true here in Alpena, too. First Congregational United Church of Christ survives financially from your tax-deductible contributions, from your tithes and your offerings. In Germany and in Switzerland, where Patty and I lived for a few years, where I pastored my first church out of seminary, churches are supported by a set percentage of tax revenues. So nobody has to pay anything into a collection plate to be in a parish. The cost of running the church is simply deducted from a person's payroll taxes, whether or not they ever attend a worship service. In America, however, churches are separate institutions from the government. We rely on our church members' charitable donations to meet our ministry budget. 2 years ago, when the IRS raised the individual personal deduction, the tax deductibility of charitable contributions became less of an incentive for people. Now, you have to give away more than $12,000 to charity before it adds anything to your automatic tax deduction. There's no telling how many people chose to give less to charity because that money no longer counts as an additional deduction. Well, I would hope that here at First Church, if we believe in what we're doing as a congregation, we probably still want to support it regardless of the IRS tax implications. The values that we represent here in Alpena as inclusive and progressive Christians, the relationships we've nurtured over the years are priceless. And I doubt that our members are giving to us simply to have a tax write-off. I believe there is a deeper commitment when we give our money to the church. But then I could be wrong, or I know. So please, regardless of the tax implications, continue to give generously. The church is a unique asset in Alpena. This church, our voice is needed in the community. And I encourage you, as Jesus put it in today's reading, invest your treasure where your heart is. Do not seek, says Jesus, what you are to eat or to drink. Don't be of anxious mind. In other words, don't keep worrying. The nations of the world seek these things. God, your Father, knows that you need them. Instead, strive for God's kingdom, and these things will be yours as well. Do not be afraid, little flock, for it is God's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Sell your possessions, give alms, provide for yourselves purses that don't wear out, an unfailing treasure in heaven, where no thief will come near, no moth will destroy. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. See? Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. In polite society, we don't usually speak about our treasures on earth, our money. We don't talk about how much we have. We don't talk about how we spend it or not, how we use it. Money is a private matter, kind of like sex. We don't go around telling people how we do it or how often we do it or if we do it or with whom we do it. No. What goes on in your bedroom stays in your bedroom, okay? If you ask me, okay? In the same way, too, most of us don't know how much money any of the rest of us have, or how we spend it, or save it, or what we use it for. Yeah, we see the car you drive. We may know the kind of house that you live in. We may know something about a second house in Arizona or Florida or someplace, but we don't know how that's all financed. You may be up to your ears in debt, and the conspicuous consumption is just all for show. We don't know. Except for the annual stewardship campaign in the fall and the budget meeting we hold in January, here at First Congregational, I would just as soon we never mention your treasure, your money, ever. And that's because I don't want any of you to feel guilty because you're not giving enough of your time or your talent or your treasures. See, those are the 3 T's that an active member is expected to contribute to a church. Your time, that is, you attend as regularly as you can. When you're in town, it's a Sunday morning, well, let's go to church, right? You attend. Your time, your talents as a volunteer, as a coffee hour host, as a choir member, as a board member, your time and your talent and your treasure. Financial support of our staff and our programs. It costs $256,000 a year to run our church as we do now. I mean, that's a lot to ask of 150 members. $256,000. So I want to thank you for your gifts, for your tithes and your offerings, and you can be proud of what we are doing. Some of us may be fairly well off. We may feel comfortable with our standard of living. Others of us, though, are just scarcely hanging on, scraping by, paycheck to paycheck, working hard, maybe with 2 jobs, but still unable to get ahead. For many people, this is a time of anxiety about money. Just consider the state of the global economy, with tariffs on imports from China raising our consumer prices in our stores, closing a major market for our agricultural products, lowered interest rates on the Treasury notes, hardly anything at all in our bank and the CD money market funds, as well as the general decline in the American standard of living. The next generation does not expect to live as well as their parents had done. With mounting job losses in the automotive industries, local businesses, stagnant wages, nearly a decade, the elimination of employer-provided benefits, and now there's been a drop in the Dow Jones Industrial Average on Wall Street just this week, up and down. Have you been following that? Where our pension funds are, my pension fund just shrunk. And they started going back again, and they're shrunk again. And I don't have anything to do with that. Just this week, the Alpena News, our local source for whatever we want to know, if you don't have internet. Just this week, the Alpena News reported stocks plunge on Wall Street as U.S.-China trade war escalates. Stocks are plunging on Wall Street on worries about how much President Donald Trump's escalating trade war with China will damage the economy. Major U.S. indexes are headed for their biggest drop since early last year. The escalations in the trade war between the world's largest economies are rattling investors already unnerved about a slowing global economy, falling U.S. corporate profits. Losses were steep and worldwide as the sell-off that began on Monday in Asia swept westward through Europe to the Americas. Investors in search of safety herded into U.S. government bonds, which sent their yields plunging lower. The yield on a 10-year Treasury note fell to 1.73%. The yield on the 2-year note sank to 1.85%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average sank 861 points, dropped 3.5% to 25,620. The biggest drop since February of 2018. The Standard & Poor's lost Standard & Poor's 500 lost 3.4%. The NASDAQ Composite dropped 4%. You read that at breakfast? How are ordinary folks like us expected to ever get a grip on our assumptions and our anxieties about money if we don't look them in the eye and ask God to help us regain some control over our money, reclaiming our treasure on earth in a proactive way? You know, last Sunday we told that story about that successful farmer in the parable, the one who had more wealth stored up than he knew what to do with. And with that story from Jesus as a backdrop, I want you to consider your cash this morning, your assets, your investments, your holdings, your working capital, your treasure on earth. Think of it as if it were your friend. Warm up to it. You see, money is a topic that deserves some thinking about. It deserves time and attention, even in church. I want us to think a bit this morning about how we handle our money. Last week, it was a case study on how a short-sighted, self-centered, wealthy man made plans to keep it all for himself. He was going to tear down his barns and build bigger storehouses for the future. Take your ease, he said, self. Eat, drink, and be merry. He told himself, I have ample goods laid up for many years. But he died the next day. And then Jesus asked the crowd, so these things that he has prepared for himself, whose will they be? That was something for his inheritors to fight over. Well, today I want you to bring it home to your own assets. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money. Certainly not going to tell you how to invest it. I heard that conversation out in the hallway where somebody was talking to Bill Dempsey, who is an investor, about what should we do in this crazy market. I'm not going to tell you how to invest it. I'm not going to tell you how to spend it. And relax. I'm not going to ask you for it. The stewardship campaign is 2 or 3 months away, right? I want you to get a grip on how you think about money. I want us to pay attention to how we feel about money. You see, with all the anxiety in our society about money and investments, I suspect many of us have a sort of knee-jerk response to money matters, unlike other aspects of our lives. We hold on tight to every dollar, so tight it seems you can just hear that old eagle scream. Why is that? After all, just this week in the daily business news, we read about how well our economy is doing just now. The president congratulates himself on the Dow being up as high as it is. He says it started as soon as he was elected. It's been going up ever since. Both houses of Congress, with both parties agreeing for the first time in memory, they both agreed to something. They signed a 2-year budget with the president to raise the national debt ceiling by another $1.25 trillion for each of the next 2 years. Finally, they got something together, right? Raise that ceiling.